What's going on, YouTube? This is Drano's back at it again, bringing you another episode. I believe it is week 5 or week 6. I'm not too sure, of the Miami Hurricanes Dynasty here on Ncaa 14. Again, I do appreciate you guys rocking with me and supporting this series. Out of everything that I've been posting, it seems like this series has been received pretty well. And for obvious reasons, I just think, NCAA is just one of those games that's very nostalgic, and a lot of people will just learn to really love. And, a lot of people miss the game just because it's been a while since they've come out with it. But as you guys can see here, just taking a look at some of my recruiting that I've been doing. Again, still trying to get a feel for it. I think probably this first season is going to be kind of a learning experience, and then it'll kind of give me a better idea as far as what to expect. But moving forward, as you guys can see, looking at the top 25, we are steadily creeping up towards that top 10. We're actually coming in at number 11 this week in the coaches poll. But then looking at the media poll, we actually came in at number 3. However, for whatever reason, after a win against Notre Dame, we dropped from number 1, and they somehow put Notre Dame above us, even though we beat them. So kind of crazy to see that, but nonetheless, you were just going to keep taking care of business. And as you guys can see here, just taking a look at the Heisman watch, the names that I recognize are Ellinger, Dobbins, and then Ian Book. Again, I'm not sure why Ian Book is up there because, we pretty much gave him a pretty good beating, to be honest with you guys. But I think it's because he actually beat OU on the road or something like that. So, as you guys can see, we do have a recruiting visit from, I believe, like a 3 or 4 star outside linebacker. So, pretty important that we make a good first impression here, as we're actually going to go ahead and start ACC conference play, at least within the conference. I know, technically speaking, we kind of started it already from when we played Clemson on the road in week 2. But this is more kind of like the actual, that in our conference. Clemson is on the other side. So, as you guys can see here, just some of the offensive ranks. Our pass offense is getting up there. We're top 25 in passing offense and top 25 in rushing touchdowns, I think is what it said. So, offense has definitely been clicking over the past couple weeks, and especially after being battle tested in those first 3 weeks of the season. I don't anticipate really us having any issues the rest of the way, to be honest with you, after looking at our schedule. Very manageable schedule, to say the least. I want to say we play in order. We have this game against Georgia Tech, we have North Carolina, and then I'm not sure who the game after that is, but all the games are pretty manageable. So, as you guys can see here, Tate Martell coming off a pretty solid performance, 19 to 25, 297 and a touchdown. Here lately, especially after that Clemson game where he kind of showed out, not trying to have him do too much. We want to definitely be more of a balanced attack, but of course we do know that if Tate does need to turn it on, he can when we need him to, in terms of either rushing or throwing the ball. So, anyways, kind of to the point that I was getting at to earlier, being that we are starting conference play, we are starting off relatively easy, I would say, just because from going back and looking at our scheduled opponents, they are either at 500 or under 500. So, at the same time, that doesn't mean, we necessarily should sleep on them, just because, it's a conference game. There's still good competition. But there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to take care of business. And just another thing that may be able to provide is it may be able to provide us an opportunity to go ahead and take a look at some of the younger guys that really don't get that much playing time, and just to kind of evaluate, just to kind of see where we're at, especially for some of the areas that we're looking to fill in for next season. Primarily outside, or not outside linebacker, middle linebacker, because we are losing our 2 starters there, as well as receiver. I know KJ Osborne is a senior, and I don't know if Jeff Thomas is a senior or not. He may or may not be. And then, of course, you never know, some of the guys that might leave early. So I definitely want to try to use this game to kind of build on, not only to, keep racking up impressive performances, but also kind of, like I said, just to kind of give those guys that really don't play as much, just give them an opportunity, you know, in real-time game, and just work on developing them, because I feel like that's kind of how you keep developing your guys in your program. You know, just give them opportunities to kind of, you know, try to succeed, to put them in the best spots to succeed. In addition to that, you know, also just work on some areas or some things that we typically or traditionally don't do. I believe I mentioned it in my first video, or not my first video, one of my last videos, I think it was against Notre Dame, where, you know, we're primarily a man defense team. We send a lot of pressure and then just play man. However, I think, you know, we might need to sprinkle in some zone here or there. So definitely going to try to use these games to also work on that as well, especially, you know, once we get up big, you know, definitely want to work on those things. So as you guys can see, though, you know, we had a good possession going there earlier, but unfortunately that possession was, you know, they stopped us on third down, so they did force a 3 and out and forced us to go ahead and take our 3. But I'll go ahead and take it, you know, considering that, you know, relatively speaking, from what I remember in this game, Georgia Tech was moving the ball pretty well in the first half of the game. So obviously it appeared that we might have been sleeping on them a little bit. And it's interesting because up until, I believe, this past season, Georgia Tech has been primarily an option or triple option type team. Which that offense is annoying, and, you know, it's hard to stop. So I can only imagine what it's actually like in real life to try to stop that. But, you know, now that I believe it was Paul Johnson who was their coach who had that offense, now that he's gone, Georgia Tech definitely instilled more of an under center, more of a traditional type of offense. Didn't really see a whole lot of shotgun, even though they did go to it whenever they were passing and whenever they got down big. But primarily saw a lot of I form, saw a lot of single back sets. But it definitely gave us some issues as far as running the running game, because they were gashing us with a couple big runs here, and as you guys can see, their defense is, you know, stepped up, especially after getting up 10 points early, and then they do force a 3 and out and force us to punt. And like I said, you know, their running game definitely gashed us a couple times. I don't even know who their running back is at this point, but, you know, they were definitely running the ball pretty well. Howard is who his name is. They were definitely running the ball pretty well, which is that's impressive considering that I believe, if memory serves me correct, I believe we are a top 3, or we might be the very best run defense in college football. So the fact that, you know, Georgia Tech was able to go ahead and move the ball like that, especially in the first half, it speaks volumes as far as, you know, the type of ability that they have. And as you guys see, they do take the lead. So we definitely started off a little bit slower than I would like to. But like I said, I think a lot of that just has to do with their defense, you know, stepping up initially at the first half of the game here. So 2nd and 5, you know, I think maybe Jeff Thomas has a step, but for whatever reason, you know, Tate Martell, he kind of underthrows it, and that's kind of the area where I definitely want to see some improvement from Tate Martell is in the deep passing game. So Georgia Tech gets the ball back, but immediately
turnover chain. You see the whole crowd don't use us. We want that turnover chain. See the whole crowd going crazy. We want that turnover chain.
In this case, the interception never really happened. So we figured, you know, let's go ahead and take a shot first play, and we're able to go ahead and hit Brevin Jordan over the middle for about a 20-ish yard touchdown. So again, Brevin Jordan, you know, obviously a big threat in the red zone, you know, with the frame that he's got, and then also kind of sneaky fast as well, actually. So you know, definitely, like I said, you know, Georgia Tech definitely came to play in this game. You know, that 2-2 record initially, whenever we first played this game, it seemed very deceiving just because they were making plays, they were playing well. So I'm kind of curious as to see who all they matched up with initially at the beginning of the year, because, you know, like I said, it just didn't feel like a 2-2 team, to be honest with you, in that first half. I felt like they could have been maybe like a 3-1. I wouldn't quite say 4-0 team, not quite yet, but they played well. As you guys can see here, they're driving downfield, and their quarterback, he was a scrambling quarterback, Oliver. He was the guy that was trying to run up and down the field on us, and he did get a couple big runs on us throughout the game here. As you guys can see, they're going to go back to Howard to get some another first down, and then this is what I mentioned. This Oliver, whenever the play breaks down, he goes ahead and takes off, but I would do the same thing if I had the wheels that he did. So, but as you guys can see there, we're able to go ahead and send a little bit of pressure and actually go ahead and get a sack. So at this point, 17 seconds left. The best we can do is just hold them to 3, which we do. Force them to go ahead, take their 3, and at this point, I'm thinking they're probably just going to split kick it or just sky kick it. But no, they decide to go ahead and kick it to DJ Dallas. We've had a couple opportunities throughout the series to go ahead and return some kicks, but finally, this is actually going to be the first kickoff return for DJ Dallas in the season. And I know in prior games, he's put us in good field position, but man, it's good to see him bust out a big kick return there. When initially it looked like Georgia Tech had all the momentum, and to go ahead and get that score back is huge, especially going right into halftime with no time left. Like I said, just kind of questionable decision-making by Georgia Tech to go ahead and actually kick the ball off and get the ball into one of our best playmakers and give us that momentum. Now, Georgia Tech, coming out of half, they do get balls, so slowly but surely they are driving downfield here with Oliver and the gang. Going with that under center offense. Like I said, it's kind of hard to tell as far as what all they wanted to do, because whenever they were in like a passing situation, they'd run, and then it'd be the other way around. Whenever you think they would run, they would pass. So, but as you guys can see here, we go ahead and send some more pressure. That I believe was Tinkley was able to go ahead and get through. As you can see, moving forward, we do go ahead and force a 3 and out here in this case. Going to go ahead and get the ball to Lorenzo Wingard, our backup running back, who definitely want to try to get him some more touches. I feel like DJ Dallas we've been leaning on him a lot, so I feel like we can do a better job as far as distributing the workload in this case. And then, of course, we're going to go ahead and call an option, use Tate Martell's mobility to our advantage here. At this point, I could definitely feel us, still having that momentum from the kick return from DJ Dallas, and so we're going to go ahead and reward him and going to go ahead and get it for 6 here. So I think at this point of the game, this is kind of where the talent differential was starting to show between Georgia Tech and Miami. It's just, Georgia Tech, they're still a work in progress, especially, them transitioning from more of that triple option style offense to doing what they're doing now. But, they do have some solid pieces in terms of their running back and quarterback. As far as, how old or young they are, I'm not too sure, but I could definitely see them, being a problem, especially if they're able to develop them. So, for the rest of this quarter, I decided to just try to go ahead and just try to eat up clock, just because, as we throw a terrible pass there, try to just eat up clock just because earlier in the game, I believe it was Jeff Thomas. He did get hurt. He got a concussion, and he was actually out for the game. So, rather than, just try to run up the score, I'd rather just go ahead and just chew the clock and just try to get the ball back and really just kind of put this game away. At this point, third quarter, decided to go ahead and give my starters maybe one more possession, maybe just kind of work on a 2-minute drill. Unfortunately, we do go ahead and take a sack there. That's kind of an area of concern for me, is the offensive line. There has been times where, the defensive line have been able to just come in untouched. So that is something that it does need to be, work in progress, especially once we get to the point, when we get to the end of the season and we play the ACC championship game, if we're able to get there, and also play, bowl games and whatnot. If we are able to go ahead and get back, I do fully anticipate just looking at the standings and playing a rematch against Clemson. So, definitely got to go ahead and shore up that offensive line before that even comes. So, with that being said, this is kind of the point where we put the game away, and I decided to go ahead, and you guys will see here, this is kind of the last defensive drive for the starters as well. But shortly thereafter, I decided to go ahead, and like I said, I wanted to go ahead and see some of the younger guys go ahead and play, get them some playing time, get them some experience, because not only is that going to help them, but that's going to keep our starters fresh as well and prevent any injuries. Because the last thing you want is to have a key playmaker on either offense or defense, take an injury and then be out for an important game. So, like I said, as you guys can see here, going to go ahead, sub in the second, do a mass sub, which I wish that was a feature that they did, that they had in for Madden, honestly, especially whenever you're doing like CFM or doing franchise or something like that. That would be really, really cool. So, just going to go ahead and really just kind of fast forward through the rest of the video. It's actually going to be a little bit shorter than what they usually are. I know I've been averaging like almost 19-20 minutes, but this one it's not going to be nearly as long, just because we were pretty much in full control, and we just basically just put it in cruise control the rest of the way once we got into the second half. As you guys can see here, we did go ahead and sub in Jaron Williams. I want to make sure that he's still ready to go in the event that Tate Martell does go down, or if he's just not playing well. Like I said in my initial starting video, is that if I do feel that the quarterbacks are just not performing that well, I'm not going to hesitate to have a quick hook and pull them and sub in one of the other quarterbacks. So, there may be another opportunity for Jaron, or hey, you never know. You might see a N'Kosi Perry sighting as well. You just never know in this case. So, as you guys can see here, we forced a 3-and-out, and that's actually going to be the game, guys. So, just a flat-out dominating performance from Miami against Georgia Tech. And we're able to go ahead and get our first win in conference. So definitely like to see that. We held them scoreless in the second half, and just showing off some of the stats here. So with that being said, guys, if you guys did enjoy the video, I would appreciate you guys hitting that like button. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the series. I know I'm enjoying just playing this series and just really seeing my school do well, as opposed to what actually happened in real life. But just good to just kind of live that out vicariously through NCAA. So, anyways, if you guys are looking forward to more videos in the series, consider subscribing to the channel. I'd really appreciate that, and go ahead and hit that post notification so you know when it is that I post the next episode in the series. So with that being said, guys, this is Miami Hurricanes. We're 5-0 going into the next week, and this is Dre Knows, and I'm signing out. Peace.